Like Brian Tracy said, if you want to increase your chances of success, you must increase your chances of failure, because success lies on the far side of failure. Instead of asking for a raise, why not find a way to make money for the company? Yeah, when you make money for the company, then you would also make money. I think one of the major reasons of having a co-founder, having somebody to walk through the difficult times of the business together. It's not for the good times. Anybody can be excited during good times, but the down times, you're not making enough money, you lost your biggest customer. It is those that can do what it takes at that moment to get the business out. Those are the people that we need around us. The ability to be able to know the first things to spend money on is very, very crucial.
Welcome to theBLOcounsel, where we talk about everything personal development and business development.
In your opinion, should everyone own a business, or are they people who should remain employees?
This question is interesting because yesterday I had this conversation with my people. We had this particular conversation about and something brought it up because there was actually or rather, let me use words. There was somebody that was working with us that in my own view could have, if they were thinking strategically, that person didn't need to think of creating their own business. They could have found a way, even while working with us, to partner with us. And let me just to answer your question, I think and before I answer, let me give an example. For instance, somebody like Jeff Bezos, who is no more the CEO of Amazon, but there are some people who are in Amazon currently that have been in the business with him, maybe as far back as when he started the business. Do we think those people would have been able to create their own business that would have been as big as whatever they're doing with him today? So, I think that answers, kind of like my view of the question, which is that people act, but what lacks the most is people acting strategically. Anybody can have an action, but people need to start thinking, okay, if I take step A, B, C, what's going to be the outcome? If I take these other steps, what will be the outcome? Not just making steps. And why I'm saying that is because sometimes you might have, anybody can build a business. You might have a great idea. You want to build your business. You want to build this and build that. But if there's somebody else already in the system, that maybe because many people go out there to create businesses from the business that they are working from. Maybe I was working in HR, they go and start their HR thing. I was working as this. They want to, but whatever idea you have, why not strategically partner, even as you're in the business, with that particular company that you're working with? What's going to happen is you're most likely going to grow faster. You're probably going to make more money faster, and you're going to be creating it on a structure that already exists. So I'm not saying that people should not create their businesses, but I think everybody doesn't need to. There are many successful people, successful business people. I call them business people because if you're the CEO of a company, or you're a director of marketing, or you're a director of, in the management position, it's more like running your business. It's just saying, oh, the person owning the business is just on paper. It is those that are running it that are in mind. So if you can be in that position and actually work with someone that is already established, for me, I would pick that any day, anytime. Why would somebody who is maybe I can even understand if somebody is super young, but maybe somebody is 45, 50. They'll now say, oh, I want to go and start my own business from scratch. When you have the opportunity of doing something with someone. So I would say it's about strategic thinking. If they're strategic enough, if you feel, look at the opportunities that are available, if staying as an employee would give you more benefits, why not? Why go through the hassle of setting up the business, risking failure? Yes, you might feel fulfilled, but the people that really feel fulfilled from creating businesses are those that succeed, not those that fail. So I think we should think about it strategically, look at what works for you. But I think it's not. I don't think setting up a business is cut out for everyone. Anybody can do it, but not everybody will be able to do it.
Being an intrapreneur and an entrepreneur, saying that having the entrepreneurial mindset while still being an employee in a company. So you're not starting your own business, but you're like adding so much value that you can even get to the point where you are so important in the business that they can even give you some benefits. that they will
Exactly.
not give regular employees.
Yes. Yes, that's the key thing. I was just while I was talking to my friend not too long ago. Now we're talking about some of his staff. We talked about issue of people asking for raise and all that. And the reality is that instead of, and that's my own philosophy, even if I'm working with someone, instead of asking for a raise, why not find a way to make money for the company? Yeah, when you make money for the company, then you would also make money. But I think those that get to the level that you have described, that intrapreneurs, like you call them, I think there are people that are able to think from the perspective of, not, yes, they're employees, but like I said, they are thinking like business owners in the business. So those type of people now are not just thinking, oh, when are they going to pay me? They're thinking, oh, how are we going to make money? They're not thinking, I just want to do my job. Let me just do my job and, do all this, just arrange the team. They are thinking, oh, how can I be a good manager in my position? How can I elevate I'm the director of marketing. How can I elevate the marketing team? How can I bring gigs that even the company is not even thinking about? How can I bring ideas that the company is not even thinking about? Then you qualify yourself to be a partner in such a business. It's just as simple. I think, to me, these things are easy. Maybe people are just not thinking about it.
Is it every business that needs a co-founder or a partner?
The interesting one.
Or are there some businesses that you don't need a co-founder?
This is an interesting one. I'll answer generally. Whether every business needs a co-founder or not, I can't say, because depending on the industry, we've seen businesses that have co-founders that succeeded. We've seen where it's just one founder and they succeeded. Similar, same industry. So we can't say that, oh, there's some businesses that require co-founders or some businesses don't. But what I can say is that having a co-founder or a business partner or whatever, I think one of the major reasons of having a co-founder is having somebody to walk through the difficult times of the business together. Because when people are starting businesses, they think it's not going to be rosy. Never. There's no business that can just be rosy. I've never heard about it before. We just don't see the bad times. Those bad times, even as you're thinking as the owner of the business, as the founder, it's always good to also have somebody who is also vested in the business too, who you can think things through together. So as I said, in the times of challenge, that's when you realize that having somebody else that we can actually rub minds, and it's in so many ways. There are times that challenges come up and you need to be in different places at the same time. If knowing that you have somebody that can also, that you're not there, but this person will take the right decisions too, even when you're not there. It's very, very important. And then, if like they say, two good heads are better than one. If the two people are actually sharp, they can. And even the so-called many of the companies that we see that, oh, it's only one founder, you'll be surprised that, yes, that's the figurehead, but they have, like their mastermind group. That's what it's called. If you read Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill talked about the mastermind group. Yeah, so that's your, the people within your circle. I always tell my own people that for me, the people in my mastermind group, I can't call you by 12 a.m. in the middle of the night and say you don't wake, we won't do what we need to do. Because there's a reason why we're in that close-knit circle. This is a circle that we don't see something as unsolvable. Every problem must have a solution, and we do whatever it takes to find a solution. So when you have those, you need those type of people for any business, especially because it's not for the good times. Anybody can be excited during good times, but the down times, when the business is you are not making enough money, when you lost your biggest customer and all that, it is those that can do what it takes at that moment to get the business out. Those are the people that we need around us. So I think for me, if you can find a co-founder, if you can find a partner, whatever name you want to call it, I think it's always important. And of course, you can find it's not just about the downtimes too. Maybe you may be good at operations. You find somebody who's good with marketing, or you find somebody who's good with sales. Nobody can be an all-rounder. Nobody can be around. So let's I think it's either ways it's important to have those type of people around you.
What's the best advice you've gotten on business ever? Maybe a piece of advice that helps change your idea, and then who did you get it from, and how did that help navigate and correct your business processes?
The first thing that came to my mind, but I don't know if I remember where I heard it from or who told me, knowing what to spend on. And let me break what I mean down. So let me just give a random example. Maybe let me just use 10 million naira. Maybe you have 10 million naira. Maybe the business has 10 million naira. But of course, the things you want to spend money on is more than 10 million. Many of us fall into, if not all businesses, we have these things we want to do, but we don't have the money to do it yet, but we have some money, right? The ability to be able to know the first things to spend money on is very, very crucial. So what that means is, maybe I'm a businessman, there's somebody else. They give both of us 10 million. We have 10 things to do with this 10 million. We need 50 million naira to execute the 10 things, but we both have 10 million to do these things. What I would do first out of those 10 things will be different from what that person will do first. But what we choose to do first may be the single reason why I will succeed and he won't. So that means that, and I'm thinking about, I'll give a practical example. For instance, and I've seen this happen, and that's what I'm saying is one of the lessons I learned, because I've fallen into situations in the past where you're spending for the business, and then you realize that, oh shit, there's some things that this thing should actually come first. I should have done this thing first instead of spending that money here, because this thing could have as well brought me more money. But sometimes we use emotions to make those decisions. Oh, you have there 10 million naira. Oh, maybe do I first buy that equipment that is 5 million and produce, or do I spend the 10 million to pay for that service? So I think the ability for us to be able to prioritize what should be done first and what should be done next, which of course involves a lot of thinking, which in my own view I always say the thinking job is the biggest job, and ever is the thinking job that it's if you want to be a billionaire, you want to be whatever, your thinking must be sound. Without that, it's not going to happen. So for me, that's one killer advice: knowing how to prioritize your spending activities in a business. We see businesses that have money, they squander out the money, but some will have very little money, but they put it in the right places. So for me, I think that's one key business advice. Maybe if I'll add another business advice, I would say not being scared to fail. And this one is so important, because like Brian Tracy said, if you want to increase your chances of success, you must increase your chances of failure, because success lies on the far side of failure. So the more you can actually fail, the more the likelihood, your potential to succeed. So a lot of people run from failure, and that's why they don't take risks and all that stuff. So I think another thing is, as a business person, always welcome risk. Many times, and we see it everywhere, the biggest companies in the world, you can have 100 products, but it's one product that will blow, let me use that word, and cover for all the losses from the rest. And it's like that everywhere. There's nobody I don't know of anybody that says it's just one product that he made and then that one product turned into magic. No, it's always the process of trying different things. Then one will now, even in the stock market is like that. Even in investing is like that. Even the venture capitalists that invest money is like that. They invest in many startups, but they'll be looking for that one that will give them 20x, that will cover for all the losses. So it's like that. You must try many, many things before you actually find that one. So accepting risk as part of the process is very key in business. So those two things.
Okay, so this one is for Gen Zs. Because
dear Gen Zs,
we're always collecting left and right. All right, so financial advice for people in their 20s. How would you, it could be as regards savings or investment, or basically how would you expect the kind of mind you should have in how to your approach to money, and how to keep it. You know, as a Gen Z, someone said that if you are not financially intelligent, even if they give you 10 million naira, you squander it and waste it.
Of course.
But if you are financially intelligent, you can turn 100k to 500k to 1 million. So if you could talk to our generation, right, what financial advice would you give, or the right kind of financial mindset you should have towards money and stuff like that?
I think first of all, it's the person that keeps money that has money, not the person that spends money. I think that is people need to be able to differentiate that. I think many of us, even me at some point too, many of us, when we see somebody spending, we assume and yes, don't get me wrong, the person that is spending has the money, but once he has spent the money, he doesn't have the money anymore. But that now takes us to, what did they spend the money on? Because that's another conversation. People say, oh, if you bought an appreciating asset or something and you're not spending on liabilities, yes, that makes sense. So wealth and growing wealth and building wealth is about how much money you can keep. It's not about how much money you can make. These are, because people say, oh, I want to make this amount of money. Yes, after making the money, you now blow everything. So do you now have money? So it's about how much you can keep, first of all. Then I think in terms of assets, and for me, I would say I'm just going to be able to speak from some of the things that have worked for me. I'm not well, I would just say it, but I'm not one of the believers in keeping huge amounts of money in the bank. And that's because the mentality is the money must be put into something that can appreciate. Of course, there are times when you make mistakes, you can invest in something, it doesn't work, which is allowed. But if you don't make the investment, how do you even know if it will work or it won't work? So the reality is you just have to try. But there's many types of things that you can put your money into. Of course, if we look at inflation, I don't want to go into too much of the technical side of it, but there's a lot of push into people owning assets, maybe landed properties and all those type of things. Or you buy this at an amount, it appreciates. There's the arguments where some people say, oh, if you look at time value of money, that maybe that asset did not really appreciate because inflation has. But nonetheless, it's still always best for you to put resources into assets. For me, assets, then if you're investing in yourself, that's another way that I think these are things that are invaluable. You don't necessarily have to see the results immediately, but those results compound. The more knowledge you have, invest. And nowadays, yes, information is everywhere, but how much good information is everywhere? You can have information all over the place, but it's like those that say, oh, we're in a world where knowledge is, they say knowledge is power, knowledge is this, knowledge is that. But yes, you and I may have access to Google and all the information in the world together, but it is the person that acts on the knowledge that they found that actually has power, not the person that has the knowledge. So it is actually applied knowledge that is power, not just knowledge is power. So, like I said, just investing, assets, appreciating assets, whether it's landed assets, whether it's a stock, whatever it is, then investing in oneself. And for me, more importantly, like I said, if you can create a business, if you can work in a business that is providing value, and you guys can expand that value, because the only difference between the person that is making $1,000 and $2,000 in the same company doing the same thing is that the $2,000 person is adding more value than the $1,000 person. So as long as you're in that space where you can always do something and improve the value that you're giving, the only natural thing is that you're going to make money. It's like guaranteed. So for me, those would be the three things: assets, invest in yourself, and then when you are in a space where you can create value, whether you're working for a company or you're building your own company, find ways to always expand value for your customers. Maybe if you're selling biro to them, think of how you can start selling the ink of the biro to them when the ink finishes. Then you start thinking of, oh, if they lost the cover of the biro, I can help them replace the cover of the biro. So that's how you expand value within the same thing. You know, you're surprised that, yeah, because many of us are in businesses that are paying. We are thinking, I want extra income. But even within that thing that you're doing, that's where your extra income is. You just need to think of how you can expand the value within the same space, really. So, and of course, like we said before, it's all about thinking. Somebody who can't think will not be able to do that. And that's why the thinking job is the biggest job. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching us today. It's another episode of theBLOcounsel as usual. You're going to be getting more of this from myself, and of course the humble Tito is asking the simple questions on the back. Yeah, we'll be answering more questions, sharing our thoughts, sharing my experience, sharing some enlightenment. And please feel free to ask your own questions too that you think you may want me to talk about or you may want me to answer. And to be my utmost pleasure to do that. And once again, let's all remember that service to many people always leads to greatness. Thank you.